How's it going there, guys? Welcome in here to Rover Sports, and we're going to be live here on YouTube pretty much, and I know that we're going to be live on YouTube. We probably are right now. I'm going to help my Periscope viewing, and these headphones don't exactly work too well, so just going to get this all squared away for the Periscope. Course, Periscope is not really working out too good, so the width, do 960 for the width for some reason. Height is 540. Don't get why. Keyframe interval. Oh wow, you guys are firing in. I appreciate y'all all coming in. A lot of people on YouTube coming in. I really appreciate y'all coming. I'm gonna go ahead and try to pull up pretty much what's going on. And just firing up here on my Twitter page. So I appreciate you guys coming in for the live stream, and I think you guys are going to want to hear about this. So we're going to be getting ready to fire up in just 1 second. Appreciate you guys' patience. And here we go. Got it. Whew. Okay. Alrighty. So now we're officially fired up here on YouTube and on Periscope. So everybody's firing in right now, and we got a huge playoff weekend. I think that next weekend's actually going to be a better weekend because I'm pretty sure that all the home teams are going to win this week. You know, I like the Jacksonville Jaguars over Buffalo, and I think it could be a blessing in disguise for Buffalo because if Tyrod Taylor ends up winning some of these playoff games, the Bills might get suckered in, or the fan support will maybe get suckered into thinking that Tyrod Taylor can bring them a championship or an AFC championship, but Tyrod Taylor's not that guy. It ends up being good, though, for Brandon Beane and Sean McDermott that they at least get some playoff momentum going to Buffalo. And for Sean McDermott to win that last game, to take care of business versus Miami, albeit they were kind of surrendering a lot of fourth quarter points to the Dolphins. It's very positive momentum for both the Bills and the Jacksonville Jaguars, and for this team, for Buffalo, it's very good that these Bills and these Jaguars are young, and they're going to get an opportunity to go out and prove themselves on the next level. So I think that all of that is a positive. Looking right now at the huge storyline today, I'm going to get to this storyline first. It's Bill Belichick and the New England Patriots, something that everybody wants to talk about. and basically the story was written on ESPN.com, and it basically talked about how Tom Brady's trainer, this Guerrero guy, essentially what ended up happening is Tom Brady and this trainer pretty much perpetrated themselves inside of the Patriots organization and created a whole rift really inside of the organization for the Patriots. And I think that it's pretty crazy what ended up really unfolding there. And I'm actually going to, now I got your comments here on YouTube, and I'm going to, my Periscope viewers, I appreciate you guys checking this out. So essentially I want to get this point across. So the Patriots trainer Guerrero, what ended up happening is, this Patriots trainer essentially came up with all these diets and all these vegetable kind of crap that went on. And Tom Brady's personal trainer was then involved with the team because Gronk and Amendola, to get pretty much their livelihood, it all comes back to basically Tom Brady. And Tom Brady, you need to keep your quarterback happy as a wide receiver. So these guys, they all didn't go to the Patriots trainers. Instead, they would go to Tom Brady's personal trainer. Well, then when Tom Brady's personal trainer would insult the Patriots trainer, saying, these guys, these Patriots trainers are getting, these players hurt, and I know better than the Patriots trainers. Basically, the article portrays Brady's trainer as a hotshot who thinks he's better than the Patriots. And then that makes Bill Belichick go in an awkward situation, because then Bill Belichick's defending the team, and now Tom Brady's acting like this huge big maestro that's really cutting between the Patriots training staff and Tom Brady's training staff. So what is really going on here is Bill Belichick, he's pretty fucking pissed at Brady and Robert Kraft, and he's saying, listen, I've built the Patriots because no player has been above the contract and no player has interfered with the football culture. And I want to get back to running the football, and I want to get back to a tough culture where the players don't govern. And here you have the greatest player in the history of the league and the history of your franchise, and Bob Kraft, which I think is kind of reasonable, is saying Tom Brady is not going to be able to be traded. Because Tom Brady is like a god to Patriots fans. And, being a Giants fan and dealing with how the organization treated Eli Manning, it's definitely a sticky situation. And now with Jimmy Garoppolo being so successful with Kyle Shanahan, it certainly does beg the question whether Belichick was right about all of this, because Brady has about 3 years left, and Jimmy Garoppolo, if he was in New England, he'd have 10 more years than Tom Brady. I think that Garoppolo can play for 14 more seasons. Now at the time, right, we didn't know how special Jimmy could be. Like, Jimmy Garoppolo was a second rounder from an FCS school in Illinois. He played a couple of games. The Patriots knew how special this guy could be, but he's really flourished to the point where right now fans would take Garoppolo and the future over Tom Brady, but at the time it seems ludicrous. So I actually think that the Patriots and all of this, I really think that the Patriots got it correct, really, in making this decision to keep Tom Brady. And really with Bill Belichick, he's aging. He's 65 years old. It was a very, very difficult situation because this whole trainer had to come in and throw a wrench into all these things. And also, if Tom Brady, it's just a very difficult situation, because if he would have passed the torch to Jimmy Garoppolo, then he's essentially giving up everything. So it was a tough situation. I think the Patriots handled it well with class. And now you look at this whole thing that's going to go down. And if the Patriots, they do have the Niners second round pick. So unless the Patriots, through this draft, unless Bill Belichick really likes a quarterback like Luke Falk out of Washington State, or somebody that can be really special, because Mason Rudolph is not going to be a special transcendent player. Luke Falk has the potential to be a transcendent player. Drew Lock has potential to be a really transcendent player that Belichick's really going to enjoy. You know, if Baker Mayfield slips, could Mayfield do it? I don't know if Lamar Jackson would fit Bill Belichick's system, you know, of being a passer. But Luke Falk of Washington State has that potential. So it depends. If Belichick gets his successor to Brady at quarterback, that's the only way that it's looking like this thing is going to stay together, because the dude is 65 years old. Now, full disclosure before I say all of this statement. I am a New York Giants fan, born and raised to be a New York Giants fan. I have friends that are Niners fans on YouTube. My channel is mostly Niners fans. So growing up Northeast, I live a couple of hours away from Giants Stadium. Bill Belichick is a New York Giant, and he has a history of being a New York Giant. He was under Bill Parcells, the greatest coach in our franchise's history, New York Giants franchise's history, and he was under the Big Tuna for 6 out of his 12 seasons. He has connections with Bill Parcells. The two would ruffle feathers back in the day as Parcells would kind of rule over Belichick and Sean Payton, but Belichick does have great memories, and Robert Kraft, Bill Belichick, and John Mara, they all are connected, and Belichick knows the Maras and the ownership group. So if Belichick was ever going to leave, he's 65 years old. He could have 8 more seasons of coaching for the New York Giants. He can go back and save the franchise that he once worked for as an assistant, and he can bring his whole life and coaching profession. He can bring it all into one big circular fashion. He could go back and save the franchise in a state now. The Giants franchise is it's in the most dire state that it's been in a long time. They made a terrible decision with Ben McAdoo. Coughlin was getting old. They had to fire their general manager and coach for the first time in like 30 years. If Bill Belichick was brought back to the Giants would be forever grateful for his services. And if Bill Belichick left the Patriots, that NFL franchise makes the most possible sense. Stable ownership, the second pick in the 2018 draft. He doesn't have to deal with Tom Brady anymore and the whole awkwardness over when Tom Brady will retire. And he can pick his own successor for Eli Manning, and he can groom the next quarterback of the New York Giants for the next 9 years and save the franchise that he's grown so accustomed to loving. And him and his kids can settle in New York, and he could retire and be the savior of this great franchise. And I think that would be pretty appetizing for Bill Belichick if he were to do this. You guys got some great questions, and I'm going to be back in 10 seconds. So give me 10. All right, I appreciate that. So, what do you do with Dave Gettleman? That's a very good question, because Bill Belichick is the master of everything. What you do with Dave Gettleman is you give Gettleman a chance to work alongside Bill Belichick, and eventually Gettleman will be hired to be a general manager somewhere. You look at the Packers, they just fired their general manager. You look at the Lions, they have a coaching change. The Bengals are going to have GM and coaching changes probably within the next couple of seasons. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers are not the most stable. I mean, there's so much turnover in this modern era. Everyone wants to give up on head coaches. So, And absolutely, I think that you take Bill Belichick. Now, the interesting question is, if you wanted to trade for Bill Belichick, if you're the New York Giants, would you trade either Odell Beckham? In a second, I would trade Odell and Eli Apple, because an elite wide receiver does not guarantee you playoff wins, and a head coach does. Now, trading the rights to Josh Rosen, that's pretty damn valuable. Like trading the second overall pick to the Patriots so they can get Josh Rosen. If you wanted to trade the second pick to them for Bill Belichick's services, that would be a trade that Giants fans, ironically, a lot of them would take a lot of pause there, I really do believe. And I would probably still rather have Bill Belichick than Josh Rosen, because you don't know who Josh Rosen's going to... I mean, Josh Rosen's as much of a lock as any prospect. You know, he has Matt Ryan's mechanics. He's incredibly smart. He's as polished as a player as we've seen. He hasn't won a lot of games in college, but he dealt with Jim Mora, who's a very mediocre coach, and he still played at UCLA that doesn't have the recent tradition of USC. But Josh Rosen is a lock. He's by far the best quarterback prospect. And would you rather roll with McDaniels and Josh Rosen, or get Bill Belichick to run your franchise for the next 9 years and make every single decision? I think that if this whole story is true, and Bill Belichick and the Patriots and Tom Brady, if this whole, long marriage is going to fall apart, it would be fucking insane. And I think the Giants would have a real inside line to Bill Belichick if they would just stay patient, because they are in great line. Other than that, I don't really know what other team would like that. So I'll get to some of your questions now here on YouTube. Rover Sports on YouTube and my Periscope viewers, I appreciate y'all. What do you do with Dave Gettleman? I explained that. Gettleman may trade Odell Beckham Jr., Ricardo writes, and cut that clown apple. I agree. Both of those guys, although they are talented players, they are not worth the hassle of keeping them around for the new regime and Belichick. Abdul writes in, he's a 49er guy. I could totally see Bill coming home, and I'm the exact same way, man. I selfishly hope that some of these reports are true, although this reporter, he did write about the Patriots a long time ago, and this could just be clickbait, so you never freaking know. But it's a lengthy report about this trainer, and this trainer did get fired, and Belichick and Brady have never seen eye to eye when you look at the entire situation. Teddy Bridgewater to the Giants. I'm not incredibly sold on Teddy. I don't think he's an elite downfield thrower. He did okay in the playoff game, but he's a guy that can manage your team. He's athletic enough to move outside the pocket, but now you have this injury which limits his athleticism. So I don't know. That would be terrible, man. But I really think Bill Belichick, if you listen to Bill Belichick, he really does love the New York Giants. He hates the New York Jets. So Bill Belichick really hates the New York Jets. That's the one that he dislikes. He's, about the 2 Super Bowls, he knows Tom Coughlin very well. Like, those guys are buddies, and those were 2 hard-fought games. The second Super Bowl was less lucky for Giants fans. The first Super Bowl, the defense, holding the Patriots to 14 points. Plexico Burress said before that game, we're going to hold the Patriots to 17 points, and Tom Brady laughed in Plexico's face. But guess what happened? The greatest team of all time, 18-0 football team, only scored 2 touchdowns, and the second touchdown they scored was only with 5 minutes left on a 4th and goal to Randy Moss. But anyway, let's talk about Jon Gruden going to Oakland. That's the other big storyline. $100 million, $10 million for 10 years. And I look at this hire, and I'll admit, I am a really big Jon Gruden fan. Like, I loved him on Monday Night Football. His charisma is fantastic. I wanted him to go back to the college ranks, and I'm so glad that he's coaching NFL ball again. And Oakland Raider fans should be incredibly excited. And I think that Jon Gruden's a pretty deep thinker, meaning that, like Scott Frost at Nebraska, he feels in debt to the Oakland Raiders, and he feels in debt to home. Meaning that Jon Gruden left Oakland because he wanted to go back to Tampa Bay. And he wanted to go back to Tampa Bay because his family lived there and he was closer to there. So this whole Al Davis traded Jon Gruden thing, by a lot of accounts, if you go back and read the storylines in Oakland, it really was Gruden who wanted to leave and go to Tampa Bay. And Dungy was building a really good team down in Tampa Bay with Brooks and Lynch and Warren Sapp and Rondé and all these Hall of Famers on the defensive side of the ball. So you look at Coach Gruden, and he feels a little bit guilty, I think, to the Davis family, to the Oakland Raiders, leaving them high and dry. And his heart is really set back on avenging kind of what he did to the Oakland Raiders. I think it's a beautiful story. And I look at John Gruden, and I can't tell you with a straight face right now that he's going to be an incredible success. But what I can tell you is that the coaching candidates that are out there right now, you're looking at Pat Shurmur, you're looking at guys like Matt Patricia, who's never coached in the NFL as a head coach, never been a head coach anywhere. You're looking at Josh McDaniels, who has failed in Denver. How do we know that Josh McDaniels won't be Hugh Jackson again? Everybody says Hugh Jackson took the Raiders to 8-8, but guess what? Hugh Jackson went to the Browns. Everybody thought that was a tremendous hire, and look what happened there. So it's not like there's incredible options. It's not like the Raiders passed up on an incredible option. And I'll tell you this about Jack Del Rio. He did bring Jacksonville to good heights. But the thing about Jack is that program was going downward. His decision to keep Todd Downing as the offensive coordinator really was a stupid, stupid decision. And essentially, Derek Carr and his progress, it really was terrible. That locker room fell apart. There were games when the Raiders flat out didn't try. The trajectory of the franchise was going so downward that if you're a Raider fan, you got to give Davis credit for spending money and making a big balls move, and I happen to really like and respect the move. Jim Schwartz and DeFilippo. I actually like DeFilippo. He could be a chance, but again, you're talking about a Super Bowl champion in Jon Gruden. So I agree. I agree. You know, what I was going to say is that Jon Gruden really, being there for 10 years now, Vegas is a very exciting place. The one great thing about Las Vegas, guys, is that place is really entertaining to be at. And a lot of you guys will probably say, yeah, well, after 3 nights, I'm burnt out in Vegas. But that's going to be a very interesting lifestyle. I mean, the first, major franchise to really go to Las Vegas. I think that the whole thing is fascinating. Like, when the Raiders are in Las Vegas, guys that are going to be at casinos, all these stories about these players. Imagine if you're facing a team that is out of the playoff race and they go to Vegas. I mean, freaking Johnny Manziel got on a flight to go to Vegas. So you're going to see guys going to the casino. You're going to see high rollers. It's going to be fantastic. So I think Jon Gruden, though, I think he will do okay. I really do. Stephen Barker writes, Big Bill, his sons are under Bill Belichick right now. I can't imagine his sons though being head coaches, and his sons can easily leave. So I do think that the home field advantage will be a concern for the Las Vegas Raiders. I do think that could be a concern. I really do. Because you're going to have rich people going to the games, and the home field will be interesting. I think some Raider fans will travel. Do you think that a second-round pick for Teddy Bridgewater, if you're the Giants, or again, I don't like that move. I think it's going to be Josh Rosen probably, and then the Giants are probably going to stick with a McDaniels. But again, if Belichick gets released, this whole thing gets very, very interesting. And the whole trainer and him refusing to see Jimmy Garoppolo is a crazy, crazy fucking story. So essentially, the trainer of Tom Brady saw every single Patriots player. But when Jimmy Garoppolo hurt his shoulder, he went to this guy that you guys just wrote here in the comments section, this Guerrero character, and Guerrero rejected Jimmy Garoppolo because Tom Brady, again, wants to keep his job, is afraid of Jimmy, and Jimmy and Tom even had a little bit of back and forth. I know that those guys are friends, But again, Tom's a competitor, and he didn't want to get Wally pipped like Wes Welker did with Julian Edelman. So really interesting developments there. I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my playoff picks, and then I think I'm going to bounce on out of here. And then tomorrow we're going to do a shit ton of content. The first game tomorrow is Tennessee and Kansas City. I see the Kansas City Chiefs demolishing Tennessee. I like Mariota. I'm curious to see what Mariota does. I don't like how Mariota is being coached by this coaching staff. I think that Corey Davis, Derrick Henry, I think that Jon Robinson has done a really nice job with this football team. I think the draft picks have been solid. Adoree Jackson is a little bit of a concern, how he doesn't seem to be improving that much, but he's very raw, so I didn't love that pick at that time. But other than that, I mean, the trades and the draft picks, I think that Tennessee traded with the Eagles, I think, for Carson Wentz to get a lot of capital back. So I think Jon Robinson's doing well. But Kansas City is my dark horse team. With all the shit that's going on right now with the Patriots, I picked the Chiefs to beat the Patriots anyway in these playoffs. And I see Kansas City advancing and beating Tennessee. Probably the final score of that game will be 30-17. And expect a ton of turnovers by Kansas City. Expect Alex Smith to hit a couple of big plays. Travis Kelce should have a really nice game. And Tyreek Hill. So I like Kansas City. Then you get Los Angeles hosting Atlanta. It's a night game at the Coliseum. The Rams are going to win this game. I mean, you look at Matt Ryan. His offense hasn't been incredibly elite under Steve Sarkisian. He's kind of taken a step back. The defense is starting to play a little bit. But I just have a ton of faith in these Los Angeles Rams. This is going to be a low-scoring game. It's going to be a competitive game. I'm going to take the Rams 24-20. A close win for the LA Rams. And then on Sunday, this I think will be a very lopsided game. I look at the Jaguars and I think they're going to win this game like 27-10. I'm taking the Jags pretty big. Everybody's going to be on Buffalo. It's such an emotional hurdle for them playing in Jacksonville. That Jacksonville defense will be out for blood, and they will take advantage of this season by beating Buffalo. And then, this is going to sound boring, but I got all chalk this week. I got the Saints then beating Carolina 4 o'clock on Sunday, and then I have the Saints and the Rams in the NFC and the Steelers and Chiefs in the AFC. So those are the games, man, for sure. Those are the games, and I appreciate everybody hanging out. It's been a lot of fun today, and again, tomorrow we got a shit ton of NFL games to get to. And I kind of am hoping that some of my predictions are wrong so that the NFL wildcard weekend will be good. No games are really slated under 5 points. None of the games are under 5 points for the playoffs. Meaning that each game is favored, each team's favored over 5. We'll see y'all. It's been a lot of fun. Take care. Have a nice Friday night, guys. And we'll see you guys real soon.